Venezuela, we're obsessed with the pawns on the chessboard, and we're not looking at the strategy.
Yeah.
So in other words, like what they're doing with blowing up boats has nothing to do with drugs. If it had to do with drugs, they'd be blowing up boats that are bringing drugs over from all the other 15 fucking countries in Latin America that are sending boats up.
Yeah.
It's not like Venezuela's the only one with fucking drug boats.
Right.
These could be fishermen. These could be fishermen who are forced to run drugs for the cartels, because the way the cartels operate, they put a gun to your fucking head and they say, you've been recruited. You're going to do XYZ, or we're going to fucking slaughter your whole family tomorrow. What's your choice? You know, in other words, like, these people have very little agency to begin with, one way or another. So if you start to think about, like, what are the motives for killing, the salacious sadism of just blowing up people whose racial identities make you feel good to think about dying, that's an ancillary benefit. That's a side effect. It's irrelevant to what the larger strategic purpose is. They're taking out Maduro. They're going to take him out one way or another. It's time. So on the one hand, you have Trump and his team who are going to leverage the regime change for their own purposes and probably for their own finances on some level. And then on the flip side, you have a U.S. ruling class that has been so fucking annoyed with Venezuela for 25 years. For 25 years, the U.S. ruling class has said, God damn those people. It's not so much that they're a dictatorship or even that they're a socialist dictatorship. It's that because of their specific ideology and the way we've reacted to it, we can't get U.S. corporations in there to fucking get the minerals and oil. So like that's the main fucking problem here. So we want a certain kind of accumulation and profit political economy in Venezuela, which is sitting on, of all the countries, some of the most highly valuable, fossil fuel and mineral reserves in the whole hemisphere. If we had a problem, it's like this. It's like saying the problem with Iraq was Saddam. It obviously wasn't. It was a way to unlock all these other opportunities, some of which we recognize as successes, and some of which traditional historians or voters recognize as non-successes. But the point here being, it's both U.S. national security strategists that have been around Washington and think tanks for 30 years, and it's the new sharp end of the spear Trump team. Everybody wants Maduro out. And so there's two interesting points to this. One is, there's no fucking way that they're just bombing boats to stop drugs. They're trying to incite a Gulf of Tonkin. They're trying to incite a counterattack. They're trying to produce loss of U.S. lives. This whole thing is like, you move the pawns to bring out the rooks. You move the rooks to bring out the knights. You move the knights to bring out the queen. And the queen is Maduro is either in exile or he's assassinated. The covert stuff that Trump authorized to have the CIA now operate inside Venezuela, this is regime change level authorizations. So it's not that there's going to be U.S. special operations like Navy SEALs, Black Hawk helicopters, like landing in Caracas or something. That might happen down the road or now. But what's really going to happen is something that looks a lot more like 1980s Nicaragua, 1980s El Salvador, where we're going to train right-wing death squads to go in and commit atrocities, terrorist attacks, destroy infrastructure, possibly take out Maduro, and they're going to be Venezuelans that are doing it. The U.S. ruling class tried this with like the legitimate opposition, like running elections and all that kind of shit. It didn't work. We're gonna send in our black ops, and the black ops are going to be proxies as they traditionally have
That's so
been.
old school, man. It seems very nostalgic to me, honestly, to think about. This was my childhood.
Right.
The right wing death squads. I mean, Manuel Noriega. All of that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
The precedent here is Iraq, Panama, Chile, and Cuba, 1898. This is a classic American playbook. This doesn't belong in like Trump is the man of peace rhetoric. That's all for fucking show. That's all for newspaper headlines. This doesn't belong in the war on drug stuff. I've seen really smart people being like, Trump's trying to win the war on drugs again. Like, fuck you. That's not what this is about. The real question to ask here is threefold. One, excuse me, why the oil now? Is it any coincidence they just sanctioned Russian oil companies at the moment they're going to take out Maduro and reopen Exxon Venezuelan oil fields? Come on, people. Number two, besides the oil routes, gold. Gold has never been more expensive than it is right now. $4,000 an ounce. Where do you think the fucking gold's gonna go? Come on, give me a fucking break. I'm not saying it's all gonna go to the United States, but let's let our corporate friends, let's let the donors to the party, let's let the rich capitalists, let's let them get in there and get their fucking cut of that gold now, while gold prices are through the fucking roof, in part because of Trump's own policies. And three, anybody ever fucking heard of coltan? The mineral that they mine in the Congo to produce our cell phones, and that's why all of our phones are founded on fucking child labor and necropolitics. There's fucking huge coltan reserves sitting there in Venezuela. And if we could get US corporations or even Western companies to push this stuff on the market, it's another supply of a key rare earth mineral that is a lot closer than fucking Congo, which is also in competition. We have competition there from Europe, from China, from Russia, but it's also way closer than China, which right now, as we know, China has cut off rare earth minerals to the United States and every other fucking country in the world, but I guess mainly in the United States. But they have now new export restrictions on all those rare earth minerals. You don't think that when they go in and fucking find the coltan, the gold, and the oil, they're going to be looking for all the other fucking rare earth minerals they can find
Yeah.
and fucking produce these things? Okay, why can't they do that in the United States? Of course they can. The labor's more expensive. Give me a fucking break. You can go down there in Venezuela. The economy is destroyed. Everyone's fucking looking for jobs. Oh, and by the way, all this mass illegal migration during the Biden era that Trump in part won the election on, build the wall, this kind of shit. Huge, huge numbers. 7 to 11 million people are from fucking Venezuela. We destroyed their economy through sanctions. So now's a great time, a really great time to change the regime, bring in U.S. corporations, resurrect the economy. Oh, and by the way, ICE is going to be repatriating a lot of the Venezuelans that they're sweeping up in these fucking deportation raids. They're going to be sending them back to Venezuela to work in the fucking mines that are going to be opened by U.S. corporations. Like this is a very logical, very clear strategic plan. I don't understand why we would focus on anything else. And then the real question is, what is the success going to be? At what level will they stop? How much will they tolerate? At what point will Maduro go into exile to Moscow? What kind of deal is he making with Putin right now? How many of his people are sending Bitcoin and US dollars to the Cayman Islands and to offshore accounts? Is he not literally preparing to run? Or does he want to end up like Saddam, crawling out of a quote unquote spider hole, facing some sort of kangaroo court, and he's gonna get hung in the middle of the town square? That's what's coming from Maduro. That's gonna happen this year or early next year if the Trump administration gets its way. Let's look ahead to that and then start, kind of repiecing out, what's gonna happen next.